Hey, everybody. Welcome to the First and 20 podcast this week. I'm your host, Professor Steve. And this week we have Teddi Domann, great friend of mine. She's done it all. She's done some incredible stuff. We have a long history. She has great stories. If you're a student who's really trying to understand what do I need to do now, Teddi's a great person to listen to. Let's go to the show.
Welcome to the First and 20 podcast, the podcast for college students trying to get into sports by talking to those in it. Here's your host, Steve Raquel.
Hey, everybody. It is Professor Steve Raquel, host of the First and 20 podcast. And this week, I have a dear friend, both professionally and more so personally now, Teddi Domann. Teddi, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Teddi and I worked, for Teddi as an agency person. Then I worked, in a sense, with Teddi for a little bit. And then Teddi and I actually switched jobs and we have continued to kind of, her and her husband and her family have maintained this great relationship and encourage each other. So I'm happy to have you on the show. Your background, I was always in awe when I was at Frankel. Like, oh my gosh, Teddi did all this stuff and this is great. And funny enough, when I got to McDonald's, I'm like, okay, like, all right, like I get it. Like, me, Georgina, John, all these guys, just, you know what, we all kind of grinded together to get to where we were at the time. So I'd love to start out, just asking you really quickly. It looks like you started, your first kind of job was, I believe it was Sports America, correct?
Well, that was really my first official sports job in what you would call a sports agency. But I think it's really important for young people to understand that right out of college, unfortunately, my first 3 jobs were not in sports. And in fact, the first 2, they were really kind of lied to me that it was anything to do with, my major was public relations. I came out of the School of Journalism and I had an emphasis in public relations, and they lied to me. They weren't those kind of jobs at all. But, again, you get lied to and you quickly apply for the next job, right? But I will tell you, every job that I have gotten since my first real PR job, they have all come because of the work that I did at the job I was in. I want to emphasize
Yes.
that. I got the job because the work that I was doing in that, however they met me. So my second job out of college, I was in pitching somebody at an agency, a PR agency, about doing something together with the client that I had, actually the company I was working for. And literally halfway through it, the guy interrupts me and goes, "Sorry to interrupt, but would you come work with me?" And I'm like, "I'd be happy to talk to you about that, but let me finish telling you about, the promotion I was actually pitching them on." So that was just the beginning. And that's exactly what happened to me every step of the way. So I always tell people, I don't care what job you have, you do it with excellence. Because if I'm hiring, I'm looking for somebody who's doing their job with excellence because I want them on my team.
Yeah,
I want the excellent
absolutely.
ones on my team. I'm only hiring people that are going to help, not people that are going to be more trouble for me, right? Like I'm not looking to bring more people on my back. The opposite. I'm looking to hire somebody to take a bunch of these, I have this little monkey here. I remind myself, get the monkey off your back, right? Before it becomes a gorilla. So it's the same kind of thing as a boss. You have to understand where they're coming from. And where they're coming from is they're looking for somebody who's going to not just fulfill the job they have, but they're going to make their job easier or allow them to be able to do the things that they want to do within their job so that they can get promoted. And as they get promoted, guess what? They usually bring their superstars with them.
Well, and what you're saying really goes across any industry, right? But how would you translate that into the sports industry for these students?
Well, specifically, I was very blessed at the agency I was at that they had a short-term event that they needed somebody to do all of the local event coordination, publicity, promotion. That's how I got the job. And it was the McDonald's U.S. Gymnastics Championships. It was through that, and again, doing excellent work, that I met all the people at McDonald's Corporation, Golan Harris, Frankel, right? That's how I met all those people. On the heels of that, at the agency I was at, that client then said, "You know what? We really want to try to get the McDonald's All-American High School basketball game here to Kansas City." I was in Kansas City. They want to bring it here. And they were like, Teddy, can you help us with that? Well, they would not have asked me to do that if I hadn't just kicked ass on the McDonald's US Gymnastics Championships, right? So then it was through that process. And again, meeting the people at McDonald's, Golan Harris, Frankel, calling them up, asking them questions, networking, doing all the stuff. And then we hosted it there in Kansas City. Again, broke all of these records, how much money was raised, all the publicity. They'd never gotten that much before, all the things that happened. So not ironically, I'm not going to say ironically, I'm going to say by design, 6 months later, there was an opening for the national director of the McDonald's All-American High School basketball game. Again, the McDonald's All-American game was 4 months away. So who did the executive director call? Me, right? Because I'd already been through it. I already knew what the process was. I could come right in hot and help out. So, and then my next jump was to the corporation, but that was because I worked on the McDonald's All-American High School basketball game for several years. We were doing just incredible work. The stuff we were breaking through, the ratings, all that stuff was just going through the roof. Now, guess what? There's an opening within the McDonald's corporation. They just started a sports marketing group. The person they'd first hired, I had worked with on the gymnastics championships and the McDonald's All-American games. So Jackie Woodward. And so then Jackie hires me to work at McDonald's. So every single job after that, 10 years at McDonald's inside the corporation, then I went to work for the U.S. Olympic Committee. How did they know me? Well, I'd worked with them for like 16 years, by virtue of working on the clients that I'd worked on. Everything happens for a reason. And it was because of success built up and doing excellence that people see you, not just your work, but also the kind of character that you exhibit through that work. I really think those are what people are looking for.
And you moved on to there and joined your husband, right?
I did. So after my stint with the Olympic Committee, I honestly could have I had a number of offers. Leo Burnett called me and they wanted me to open up an office in LA. Charles Schwab wanted me to come run their sports marketing department in San Francisco. I got offered chief marketing officer of the LPGA, got offered a consulting job with Time Inc. I had in New York. I had all these great offers, but I will tell you, I was at a season in my life where I had 3 little kids and I just did not feel the Lord calling me back into those big cities in corporate America. I'm in Colorado Springs. We absolutely loved it. We felt called to come to Colorado Springs and I didn't feel the calling to leave. I don't know how better to say it. My husband had an agency representing NFL athletes and he said, Teddy, I could really use your help here. And so his partner agreed. So I came to work for our agency and then grew them from 25 to 75 in a matter of 3 years. So I just took my marketing, I applied it, right? It really was fun to do too. The other thing that did happen as part of my now working with my husband's business, and this was a blessing both for the business as well as for our personal lives. And that was that by establishing some roots in our community, we actually started a nonprofit organization and started a community event called the Pro Football Camp. Well, this year will be our 21st.
Is it really?
20? I know.
The number I remember last time was 150. How big is it now?
Oh, we're at 385 is our average.
And who attends these? Who attends them from the upper end and then lower end?
Yeah, 7 to 14-year-olds, and it's just the greater Colorado Springs area. Yeah. But I will tell you, it's become so popular and well known that grandparents will have kids come from other states and they'll come in for this week at camp, so it's really a lot of fun. It's really grown
and and that is hosted. I know it's hosted by you guys, but I think a lot of them are Craig's NFL clients, correct?
Yeah, so we bring in current and former NFL athletes. And when we started initially, and that's the part that was a nice synergy with our business, is that the current athletes were all of our clients. Well, now the former athletes are almost all of our former clients. And then the new current guys we get are people that we know, or like our boys having played professional football, both have their own contacts. So that's really what we draw from at this point. The other thing we did year is we started a girls pro flag football camp. And so this will
Okay.
be our second year doing, yeah.
Have you thought about adding in flag football since the Olympics are coming up?
Yes, it's the girls pro flag football camp. So it is. We have added that whole unit just for girls 9 to 18 years old. So we use the successful template that we've created for pro football camp, and we just moved it over, and we now do the same thing for girls pro flag. And then to your point, our pro football camp, which has always been a non-contact camp, we have added a station on the defensive day where they learn how to pull a flag. So they learn how to tackle that day, properly tackle, but they also learn how to pull a flag because that's part of tackling in flag football. So yes.
And I know from many, many years helping you is you're always looking for interns and volunteers, correct?
Always, year round.
So if somebody's interested, they should look up, what is it, profootballcamp.com or what's the
Correct.
place to go? Okay.
www.profootballcamp.com. Yep. We have internships year round. And we're actually
Well, let me,
expanding our girl pro flag camp to other cities. So we currently have 5 cities that are interested in hosting it. And so we're all in that process as well. Now, I will tell you, I have zero desire to have a truck and be going around and putting on camps. No desire to do that. But I will tell you what I am doing is, as I say, teaching you how to fish. So if you want to host this in your market, then I have created what I'm calling a camp in a box. And we've created all the templates and everything that you need. We have the operations manual. And my role in this will be actually getting the national and regional sponsors. And so I will continue with that. And I've already got, I think, our first one on board. So we'll be bringing stuff to the party if you decide to host this in your market as well.
well, in terms of your shared, interest with me, like, how are you looking at sports? What do you feel like students need to know outside of the stuff you just talked about, which was awesome? And, I hope people are listening to that. But what are the things that you go into to these events or talking to students and say, here's what you got to do?
Well, I've always said that the 3 most important things you need to do that I look for. Number 1 is, and if it's even number 1, my number 1 and 2 are just pretty much like this, but I'll name number 1, integrity. You need to be an integrous person, which means you need to do what you say you're going to do and do it with excellence. You should never be having to look yourself in the mirror, ever, without being able to look at yourself and say, I am proud of the work that I've done. So my number 1 is integrity. I don't care what you do. I always say to people, let's say your gifting is as an accountant. All right, go be the best damn accountant. But you're like, but I want to work in sports. Well, if the Denver Broncos are hiring somebody in their accounting department, are they going to hire just anybody? No, they're going to hire the best. You need to be one of the best so that when you put your resume in the ring, the person who's already there in the accounting department isn't like, oh, I've never heard of this person. No, they're like, I know this person. They're excellent. They work for this agency. They already know you because you have worked with excellence. I'm just telling you, that's my number 1. My number 2 is communication. I am finding in this younger age group, we're just not seeing communication. You have to be able to verbally and written communication. I'm not talking about texting or 180 characters on Twitter. Doesn't happen. I know that's how it started. I know we all got in that habit, but you've got to be able to communicate. And that's what I find over and over again. People just really can't communicate. They can communicate their feelings, but they can't communicate from a business perspective. So those are my 2 really big ones.
What would you say about working for free starting out?
Always, always. Again, how you get a job, I don't care what field you're going into, but definitely in sports, you have got to go volunteer and be the best damn volunteer. Do you know every person I've ever hired volunteered with me first? Every person I've ever hired volunteered with me first. And then I want that person on my team. It's like I told you before, you want to be so excellent at what you do and such a person of integrity that I want you on my team. I'm like, oh man, they could really help me out here. I don't care how little you know. If you are an integrity person and you communicate, I can teach you what you need to know to work in sports.
Now, would you say Would you add on to anything that you've already said in terms of skills that students should that are overlooked? Like they're overlooking getting these type of skills to help them get jobs of things that you that haven't said already.
Well, I will tell you that a course that I took in college, and one of my dear friends, he happened to take the course as well. And both of us have said over and over again how much that course helped us. And it was business writing. It was a business writing course. It was an elective we took. Now, I was a journalism major, so I was already a good writer, but being able to write in the format of business is just different. It's different. And so and learning the terminology and what's expected, that helped out tremendously. You wanna work in sports, if you have to start in ticket sales, who cares? Start in ticket sales. I'm gonna say it again till I'm blue in the face. You kill it in ticket sales, and guess what? Somebody else within that sports group is going to look for you to join their team. You kill it in ticket sales, and when you have a spare moment, you go over to the marketing department and say to them, "Hey, anybody need any help? You need a volunteer this weekend for the game? You know, I've got the ticket sales down pat, but I could come help." And you be that extra set of hands. That is what opens the doors. You make your own opportunities, guys. And you make it number one by the quality of the work that you do, and number two by where you put yourself out to. But you got to come in and work hard. You got to come in and be willing to start at the bottom, because I, as a business owner, am not going to give you the keys to the kingdom. You're going to have to earn them, and you're going to have to earn my trust. Interesting enough, Craig will use interns doing his athlete representation and NIL business, but he never hires directly because he wants to see how these interns actually operate. And then he'll pluck them from us. We always laughed, "Oh, that was a good one." He plucked them from us, but that's why he's waiting to see who's doing really well at something. And then he'll give them a project. And if they kill it for him, he'll give them another project and another project. But if they don't, and that's the way a lot of companies work. I was going to say, Steve, a plug for you was that, when you were on the agency side, I didn't have to coach you through things or go, "Oh, I better check up on Steve. Did he do the things he said he was going to do?" No, you delivered things on time or before time and with excellence. And so that's the kind of stuff that, as somebody who's, managing a team, you recognize and you go, "I never worried about any of that stuff because I knew Steve was in charge and it would get done, and it would get done with excellence." So I didn't feel like I had plenty of other areas I had to be checking up on, but that was not one of them. So that's why 100%.
Thank
You're
you.
happy to share the names of people that that do excellent work. We do the same thing with interns today. The interns who come in and kill it, we call them superstars. And when we get those calls about hiring them, it's really easy. Or they call us, somebody will call and say, "Hey, I'm looking for somebody." Boom. Here, you need to talk to this person. The other thing that we really appreciate is that we know when we get interns from you, we're getting good ones. And we know that these people are going to come in and they're going to not only be people of integrity, but they're also going to be eager to learn, because an internship is an opportunity for you to learn. I know when I have interns, I'm actually a teacher. I'm a mentor to them. It's not just you're coming in. You may feel like, or you may have people, your perception might be that an internship is just, "Oh, they're just hiring me to do the gopher work." You won't do any gopher work for me if you show me that you do the gopher work extremely well, because I have lots of big projects I want to give somebody, but I got to know that I can count on you to do it. So again, that work hard, that integrity piece, that communication, you just have to get in there and get going. I will tell you, I can't tell you how many people I know that started in ticket sales in an organization and now they're doing much bigger, better things, but it all starts in ticket sales, and you have to understand the why. For a team, almost any team, it is their number two source of income. The number two source. They don't have much control over the TV because that's usually handled by the leagues, right? But it's the ticket sales that matter. So you want to get noticed by management, you go in and you kick ass in ticket sales.
Slightly different question, but this is a good one. Is you have such a varied experience over so many years. And I say that in a good thing. Well, is there like a memorable sports event moment that you hold dear to your heart?
I'm going to tell you the sports side, and then I'm going to tell you my experience of the position I was in. So, from a strictly sports perspective, I was blessed to be right past the finish line when Michael Johnson broke the world record in Atlanta. And sitting behind me, as if my seats weren't great enough, sitting behind me were his parents. So right after he broke the world record, and he, runs across like this, he turns and he runs down a little bit, kind of gets his breath, comes back over, he comes right to his parents. He is right there. So yes, that is probably one of my best sports memories because it was just so up close and personal. I couldn't believe it. The second thing I wanted to share with you is more from a sports, like I was on the corporate side, and I have several good ones. I have several really good ones, but one of them was that, again, happened to be at the Atlanta Olympics, and sitting there watching was it the opening ceremonies or the closing ceremonies? No, it was the opening ceremonies. And literally all of a sudden radios start going crazy, and they're like, "Duh," and so I turned off my radio, and so did Jackie Woodward, by the way. We were kind of sitting together. She turns hers off. We're like, we're enjoying this. We're taking in and next thing you know, we've got Michael Payne from the IOC and two other people with them coming up the steps and coming right towards us. And we're thinking, I wonder what's going on here. So what happened is that we had a McDonald's uh, unit outside the stadium that all the fans came in and could get their, McDonald's before they went into the stadium. I thank you, Frankel. Frankel had made this huge sign so that people coming in to the stadium would be able to see it from almost all sides of the stadium, right? Well, no one tested it before, but literally when they brought down the stadium for the teams to start coming through, there was the McDonald's sign. No, I mean, looks like it literally, I still have my picture right up there. It's right there, the big McDonald's horse. And so this is on national and international TV feeds, right? And so the IOC was livid, and they tried to get the people at the restaurant to unplug it and turn it off. And they're like, absolutely not. You need to go talk to our people. So anyway, that was probably one of the funniest because they were so mad and they were so sure that we had absolutely planned that. Basically, almost like we were ambush marketers, and we're one of their partners. But anyway, that is still one of my funniest. And the evil eyes and stuff afterwards, going, after the opening ceremonies and the hospitality stuff. Oh, they were so mad at us. So that was probably one of my funniest. It wasn't a happy story, but it was funny. It's like being sent to the principal's office and you don't know when the heck you did, and that was kind of what it was.
That was a crazy time. And I do want to bring up something that you did that I thought was really awesome. I actually did a couple things. I know you did it in 96 is you, with the little notice, I believe, is that one of the things driving McDonald's being a top sponsor is making sure that the athletes would eat the food, right? Athletes. I think we were all kind of like, well, will they eat the feed? What they won't? And I remember, I was helping you coordinate. Basically, I think it's, the gymnastics team coming in and like, I think trying to get them to eat a burger or something like that. And I thought that, that was such a short turnaround time, right? They'd win a medal and then you would try to figure out how to get them on the Today Show or whatever. And I think it was pretty successful.
Right. It was. Well, here's what we found, and this is something that's a key learning when I get to speak to classes. This is an area I do like to teach on, and that is perception versus reality. So the reality is that elite athletes do eat fast food. They do eat McDonald's. And part of the reason they're working out so much that they actually need the calories and the fat from it. So that is the reality. The perception, especially among Americans, but in most of the world, the perception is elite athletes don't eat fast food. That's the perception. So here we are, an official sponsor of the Olympics, and we've got a restaurant inside of the Olympic Village. And again, on the outside, even at the IOC level, they're like, athletes won't be there. I want to really manage your expectations. Da, 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 da. Oh no, they were there in droves, eating every single day. And, some of them more than others. I don't want to blow it up and make it something it's not. And for some, at a minimum, it was their treat after they competed. And so what we found in our testing, so here's what's happened. We took this reality and then and what we perceived as a perception imbalance, and we took it out and did research. We paid for a ton of research. You may have remembered sitting in on those, Steve. And we had to listen to people tell us basically they did not believe us. And there was nothing we could say, no matter how our researcher people tried to spin that the athletes eat it. They didn't believe it except for one thing. When we said that athletes would come to McDonald's after they'd competed to celebrate, that was very believable, like 99% believable. And so that's where we as a brand had to say, we cannot fight perception. And this is something, a big learning experience as a marketer. There was no amount of PR and education we could do to change that perception, right? But what we could do is join them where they were at. And where they were at was a celebration. So that's where we took that pivot and we said, okay, we're going to make a big deal about the athletes after they competed and that they're coming to McDonald's. So we did have relationships like with gymnastics, like with the basketball team and so forth. We had some NGBs that we were in with, and we had those athletes come. And then to your point, we had the Today Show and so forth there to see it with their own eyes and for them to be able to experience it. And then we did have one athlete, Jackie Joyner-Kersee was on our payroll, you may recall. I still have Jackie up here. And Jackie and her husband, Kersey, they traveled the world for track meets, right? And one of the things that Jackie happened to tell us as we got to know her is that every place they went, the first thing they did when they arrived was to scout where the nearest McDonald's restaurant was. And they would go to that McDonald's restaurant. That's where they had their team meeting. And they would do it for breakfast because Jackie's favorite was the Egg McMuffin. So they started their day at their team meeting at the McDonald's that was closest to where they were at. Everybody in the team knew that's what they were meeting. So that was a story of reality that we did tell over and over and over again. Or better yet, we let the athlete
which is hard,
tell.
right? Yeah,
But
it's hard because the perception of
it's
McDonald's.
hard. And people don't realize that sometimes what you're you need to stop beating your head up against the wall and join them wherever you can.
Good advice. So as we wrap up here, what's the best way that people could reach out to you or learn more about, the internship program, etc.?
Well, if you go on www.profootballcamp.com, you'll see my email address right there, and you can just email me. Send me, let's not dance. Just send me your resume and your cover letter and say, I'm looking for an internship. If you know more specifically what you're looking for, great. If you just want to explore something with us, look at our internship descriptions that we have out there. Make sure it's something that you'd be interested in. And then, we'd be happy to. I will tell you, I also have an intern, usually 2 interns at all time, working on the pro mindset. Craig has a podcast as well, as you know. And he has a book and he does coaching and so forth. So we do have an internship available there if you're interested in looking at how you can be an intern in the mindset space or even in the podcast space. I've had a number who were like, I think I want to work in the podcasting space. Great. I'll give you some real hands-on experience.
Well, thank you, Teddi, for being part of the show. I always finish up saying, college student, you are the quarterback of your sports career. We're here, and the guests that I have on are here to help you come up with the best plan for you to win. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for being part of this podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.